Chosen one. The fact that you're hearing this right now is not random. Something far greater than luck or coincidence aligned this moment for you. Heaven has been watching your steps, weighing your intentions, and measuring your silence. You didn't click this video, you were summoned to it. Because this message is not information, it's confirmation. The shift you've been feeling in your spirit, that strange calm mixed with expectancy, is the sound of heaven opening its vault. For years, you thought you were the one chasing opportunities, trying to make ends meet, pushing doors that wouldn't open. But the truth is, heaven was observing how you handled the waiting. While others screamed for blessings, you whispered prayers of surrender. While others strategized how to get ahead, you stayed faithful in the background. You didn't bow to desperation. You didn't sell your integrity for shortcuts. You chose to be clean rather than to be seen. And that chosen one changed everything. Because what activates heaven is not volume, it's consistency. It's not noise, it's obedience. God saw you choosing what was right, even when it cost you comfort. He saw you give up what was yours just to remain aligned with Him. He saw you walk away from easy money because you didn't want dirty peace. Every tear, every silent yes you gave in the dark became a code. And that code unlocked something divine. You see, in the spiritual realm, there is a law: what belongs to you never gets lost. It only waits for the right vibration to recognize you again. The moment your character matched your calling, heaven sent a signal. That signal traveled through dimensions, through circumstances, through people. And now everything that once avoided you has started to look for you. Listen carefully, what's happening now is not reward, it's reimbursement. The blessings that are chasing you are not luxuries, they are repayments. God doesn't owe anyone anything, but He always balances His books. Every time you felt robbed of recognition, every time you were left behind, despite your honesty, every time you kept sowing while others took shortcuts, heaven wrote it down. And now payment is due. But this is not payment like the world gives. This is holy compensation, interest paid in peace, honor, and divine timing. You will see things arrive that you never applied for. Emails that come without effort. People that offer without you asking. Doors that open because your presence is the key. Not because you fought for them, but because you became the doorway. While others have been obsessed with being visible, you've been faithful in being invisible. You were being trained in the language of trust, and now that trust has graduated into manifestation, the heaven that once felt silent is now speaking your name in rooms you haven't entered yet. The tables that once excluded you are now being rearranged, and your seat is being reserved not as a guest, but as a carrier of grace. But before you go further, I need you to do something symbolic right now. If this message resonates deep within your spirit, if your chest feels that stirring of divine confirmation, don't scroll. Type 99 in the comments as a seal of agreement. That's not superstition, that's spiritual alignment. Because when you publicly declare your faith, you authorize heaven to move faster. Hit that like button not for vanity, but as a prophetic gesture saying, I receive this word. Subscribe because this space isn't entertainment, it's activation. Chosen one, this isn't a motivational video. This is visitation. The reason you feel electricity in your chest, the reason you can't stop nodding is because heaven is literally leaning towards you right now. The veil between the natural and the spiritual is thin, and God is whispering, I have seen your patience, and I have prepared your provision. You didn't miss your chance. You were being positioned. The waiting wasn't punishment. It was protection. Heaven delayed what was meant for you until your spirit was strong enough to hold it. because premature blessing is disguised sabotage. But now the timing is perfect. The vault is open. The resources are moving. The flow is reversed. You are no longer the pursuer. You are the magnet. Understand, this money is not evil, but it is obedient. It obeys energy. It obeys purity. It obeys assignment. When you were operating in fear, money hid from you. But now that your frequency is faith, it has no choice but to find you. You are not a beggar of favor. You are a distributor of divine supply. That's why the shift feels different this time, because it's not coming to you, it's coming through you. You are stepping into what heaven calls provision mode. That's the dimension where things find you instead of you chasing them. It's when the opportunity calls your name. When the resources follow your obedience. When what you lost begins to reappear multiplied. Not because you forced it, but because you proved you could handle delay without losing devotion. And now heaven is saying, release it all to them. Not half, not someday. Now. Because you remained pure in process, you're being crowned with provision. The kind of provision that arrives without begging, multiplies without manipulation, and lasts without explanation. The world will call it luck, but you'll know it's justice, chosen one stay until the end of this word. Because what's coming next will confirm what your spirit already knows. This season isn't about chasing blessings. It's about standing still long enough for blessings to recognize you. The same money that once slipped through your fingers will now sit in your palm, waiting for your command. The same opportunities that once ignored you will now compete for your attention. And when they come, remember, they're not rewards for ambition. They're acknowledgments of endurance. The storm is over. The test is graded. Heaven has signed your name on the release form of favor. You're cleared for overflow. Chosen one, what's about to happen in your life isn't luck. It's a divine rearrangement. God is rewriting the flow around you, and every delay, every rejection, every season of silence was part of the architecture. You were being calibrated to abundance. You had to be refined until your hands could hold blessing without trembling. That's why doors didn't open before. That's why people who could have helped you turned away. Heaven wasn't ignoring you, it was protecting what was still maturing inside you. You learned the secret that only the faithful ever discover. Chasing after what you want can delay it, but resting in who you are draws it in. Because when you finally stop running, heaven starts sending. You didn't lose time, you built weight. You didn't lose chances, you gained capacity. You didn't lose people, you shed distractions. That's why the money that once slipped through your fingers is now magnetized to your name. Not because you became smarter, but because you became aligned. There is a law of attraction that the world copies, but heaven-authored provision follows purpose. When your motive is pure, resources bow. That's why the same thing that overwhelmed others will feel effortless for you. You are entering a season where your peace is the proof of your power. God isn't sending abundance to test your greed. He's sending it to confirm your growth. Because only those who can remain humble in overflow are trusted with divine supply. Every time you refused to cut corners, a new coordinate was written in the spiritual map. Every time you said no to something easy but unclean, heaven marked that spot as safe to release favor. Now the coordinates are aligning, the roots of blessing are triangulating around you. Heaven knows your address. You don't need to beg anymore. You just need to stay available. Because what's yours is on the move. Do you feel it? That quiet anticipation in your chest. That subtle sense that something invisible has shifted. It's not anxiety, it's confirmation. You're feeling the current of spiritual economics changing direction. For years, you poured out with little return, but that was investment, not loss. Every prayer was a deposit. Every act of obedience was a transaction. Every seed you planted in faith compounded interest in heaven's account. And now the maturity date has come. The payout will not be emotional only. It will be tangible. Finances that were locked are being released. Ideas that were ignored are gaining traction. Relationships that were broken are being replaced with alliances built on truth. You will begin to notice that everything around you responds to your obedience. That is not coincidence, that's command. Because heaven has already issued the order, "Follow my servant." Money opportunities support protection. They've all received the same instruction. And when heaven commands, the material world obeys. Don't be surprised if things start coming toward you that used to intimidate you. Don't question why doors are suddenly easier to open. You earned this ease. The struggle refined your frequency, and now the universe recognizes your tone. What once felt blocked will now feel magnetized. But hear this clearly, this is not about greed or status. This is about divine trust. You are not being blessed to flaunt, you are being funded to fulfill. The money that is chasing you has a mission. It is sacred currency meant to expand your reach, not inflate your ego. Heaven doesn't invest in vanity. It invests in vessels. And you, chosen one, have proven to be a vessel that can carry glory without leaking integrity. So don't shrink when abundance comes. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's remembering who sent it. When money begins to flow in unexpected ways, say quietly, "I know where this came from." That acknowledgement becomes armor. It keeps pride from poisoning prosperity. Because the enemy can't tempt what's already surrendered. God didn't prepare this moment to overwhelm you. He prepared it to elevate you. You have been trained for generosity, discipline, and discernment. The same patience that got you through the waiting will now sustain you in the receiving. Be wise. Be grateful. Don't rush to spend what was meant to send. Heaven is giving you not just income, but influence, not just wealth, but wisdom. Every cent that finds its way to you now carries an assignment. Each opportunity knocking on your door is not random, it's a soul to bless a mission, to fund a purpose, to build. The same way you once asked God for help someone somewhere is now praying for what you're about to deliver. The cycle of grace continues through you. That's why abundance doesn't corrupt the faithful, it multiplies their reach. Chosen one, you were never waiting for money. Money was waiting for you to mature. It wasn't withheld. It was being withheld for you. Because heaven cannot release what you might idolize. Now that your heart has learned to love the giver more than the gift, the blessing is safe in your hands. That's why you've been feeling that surge of expectancy. Your spirit already knows what's en route. When the resources arrive, you won't need to chase validation. Your prosperity itself will preach. People will see your peace and know you've been touched by something sacred. They'll call it luck, but those with discernment will recognize it as legacy. Your life will become a testimony that obedience still pays, that faith still builds, that integrity still wins. Stay rooted in gratitude. Speak blessing, not fear. Guard your heart from arrogance disguised as success. Because this prosperity isn't a finish line, it's a platform. You've been elevated not for applause, but for impact. You've been funded not for display, but for destiny. And heaven is smiling because you finally understand it was never about getting more, it was about becoming more. So breathe, chosen one. The chase is over. You've stepped into the flow where favor follows faithfulness and supply follows surrender. Everything that once felt delayed is now in delivery. You won't need to announce your arrival. Abundance will do it for you. Keep your hands open, your spirit humble, and your eyes on the giver, because the miracle that's coming next won't just pay your bills. It will fund your calling. Chosen one, this is the part heaven has been preparing you for, the part where what was once invisible becomes undeniable. You are stepping into a time when even those who doubted you will have to admit something supernatural is happening in your life. Not because you proved them wrong, but because God is proving Himself right through you. For a long time, you wondered why your story had to be so quiet, why your progress was hidden, why nothing ever seemed to move as fast as your faith. Now you'll understand. Heaven was establishing credibility in you before giving you visibility. It's easy to handle blessing when everyone's watching. It's harder when no one sees your effort. That's why you were refined in silence. You were trained to honor the process, not just the promise. And because you stayed, heaven now trusts you with overflow. You will soon see that abundance has its own rhythm. It doesn't run toward noise. It follows peace. It doesn't obey anxiety. It obeys alignment. Every time you chose patience over panic, you were tuning yourself to heaven's frequency. That's why doors will now open without strain, because your energy no longer repels what's meant for you. Money recognizes order. Opportunity recognizes peace. Favor recognizes humility. And you chosen one embody all three. Don't be surprised if the people who once pitied you start seeking your wisdom. They'll sense there's something different await to your words, a calm authority that cannot be faked. It's the residue of endurance. You earned that silence. You wore storms like armor. And now when you speak, heaven echoes. But remember, the purpose of this abundance is not comfort, it's commission. The resources arriving are tools, not trophies. They are answers to prayers you didn't even realize you prayed. When you said, "Lord, use me," this is what He meant. He's funding your influence. He's extending your reach. He's giving you the means to build, to restore, to uplift others who are still fighting battles you've already won. So when the increase comes, don't hide it in fear, and don't flaunt it in pride. Flow with it. Let generosity become your reflex. Because the fastest way to lose divine provision is to make it about yourself. But the fastest way to multiply it is to make it about service. The same God who gave you enough for your needs will give you overflow for others. That's how heaven measures trust, not by how much you keep, but by how much you can channel. Chosen one, you've entered the dimension where giving no longer drains you, it sustains you. Every time you share, the universe rushes to refill you. That's why scarcity cannot live in your house anymore. Your environment is shifting from survival to stewardship. From waiting for blessing to walking as blessing. You are no longer asking for a miracle. You've become the conduit of it. Do you feel that sense of peace wrapping around you right now? That's confirmation. The struggle cycle is closing. The harvest cycle has begun. You are in the phase where grace becomes gravity. Everything meant for you starts falling into place effortlessly. Phone calls open doors, restored connections, unexpected help, they're not random. They're responses to a decree that was spoken over your life. Honor to whom honor is due. Heaven has remembered your name, but guard this when the applause begins. Keep your ear tuned to the whisper. Success has a way of drowning out the voice of the one who sent it. Don't let noise replace guidance. Don't let the crowd replace communion. The same silence that built you will protect you. Keep it sacred. Keep it simple. Keep it surrendered. Because what's coming next will require an even deeper level of humility. As resources multiply, responsibility will too. More eyes will watch you, more hearts will follow you, and your obedience will become a map for others. This is why God trusted you with delay. He knew that by the time the spotlight found you, you'd be too grounded to crave it. You've been through too much to let pride undo what patience built. So as the blessings unfold, remember this prayer, Lord. Keep my hands open so nothing gets trapped. Not the money, not the power, not the praise. Let everything you give me keep moving through me. That's the secret to eternal supply movement. Water that flows never stagnates, and provision that circulates never ends. You are not a container. You are a channel. That's why you can't run dry. Chosen one, look around. The signs are already visible. The calls you thought were coincidences are confirmations. The peace that followed your surrender is proof that heaven has switched positions. You're no longer behind schedule, you're ahead of it. You're walking in divine timing, where opportunities arrive exactly when your character can sustain them. And as you walk in this new frequency, you'll notice something extraordinary. The money that once ignored you now seems to recognize you everywhere. Contracts find you, collaborations seek you. Even obstacles turn into opportunities because the atmosphere around you has changed. You carry a magnetic field of grace. It bends reality in your favor. When people ask how you did, just smile. Tell them the truth. I didn't chase it. I trusted for it. Let your life be the sermon. Because the same God who lifted you from lack to overflow is using you as living evidence that faith still works, that surrender still wins, that clean hands still attract gold. You are proof that prosperity doesn't corrupt when it's anchored in purpose. You are the bridge between spiritual obedience and tangible reward. You are the living equation of heaven's math, purity plus perseverance, provision. So walk boldly, chosen one. The decree has been issued. The angels assigned to your supply are already on the move. Money will find you not for status, but for service. Honor will find you not for ego, but for example. Peace will find you not for comfort, but for confirmation. The flow has begun, and it will not stop. What once avoided you now belongs to you. What once ran from you now runs for you. Because heaven has spoken your name into the language of abundance, and creation is obeying. You are no longer the one who begs the blessing. You are the one the blessing belongs to.